Today now, while covering the ZIYAH Harris story, we are on scene where Jarvis' bus phone was pinging at during the night he was with ZIYAH Harris. Also, we have documents from the CPS investigation and the lack thereof. We have interviews that was taking place between Jarvis and the CPS agents. We have interviews that was taken between the cousins who initially was the whistleblowers. All exclusive information that never been seen on no other channel is going to be here today on Projects and Cacerías. Let's begin. Once again, I'm going to leave a link to sign the ZIYAH Harris petition to get all the people accounted for her disappearing held accountable. That's including friends, family, and this CPS agency that failed her and had more neglect than Shannon in this case. Now, before we get off into all the documentation, all the interviews we have, the newly discovered information that we have on the ZIYAH Harris case, let's give a shout out to this young man, Demetrius Darling, is the Senior Deputy Director of Michigan Department of Health and Human Service, Children's Service. Basically, he's the head of CPS, Child Protective Services. We want to let him know that we own your ASS, Mr. Demetrius. We own your ASS for the job that you all did and in the ZIYAH Harris case. No, y'all ain't off the hook. You ain't off the hook. None of y'all off the hook. Everybody that was involved in that case is going down. Starting with you, Mr. Demetrius, and your inability as administrator to run that organization. And that organization that is designed to protect our kids should not be ran by an incompetent person or incompetent administrator, because your subordinates did a poor job in the interviews they did with Jarvis Bus. We got the interviews that they did with Jarvis Bus. We got the documents that said how y'all conducted your interview and what was your findings. As you can see that some of them are on the screen right now. These are the findings that you all had. Most cases, I understand, when it comes to child neglect, it's about malnutrition and unsafe living conditions. So when CPS first come, the first thing they want to look for is the cleanliness of the house and is their food, is the refrigerator well stocked. But most cases are not of sexual nature. This case didn't have anything to do with the cleanliness of the house, nor the amount of food that was in the refrigerator. This is a sexual misconduct complaint. The house could have had gold floors and diamond chandeliers. It wouldn't have mattered. That is not what you base your investigation on, the condition of the house or the well-stocked food. This is about children being safe in a home. And you, Mr. Demetrius, are on the chopping block, along with Shannon, along with Annette, along with Jarvis, along with Cordell, all y'all on the chopping block. But your head on the chopping block today, because we're going to get to the bottom of this. We have interviews, we have documents, and we got the Wayne County prosecutor, Kim Worthy, speaking out against the poor job that CPS did. I want to show the people the interviews. I want to show the people the documents of how you conducted your subordinates and how they proceeded with the CPS case that eventually cost this young girl her life. Let's begin. Before we get into the interviews and the actual comments from the CPS, we're going to study the documents you just seen that says a sexual misconduct allegation was labeled a low risk. You've seen it with your own eyes, a low risk. How is this possible? And besides that, another case where the two children were found frozen to death in the parking lot, the city and the CAM, which is supposed to protect people during the wintertime from being homeless, knew of this family of 5, had nowhere to go, and told them, like they told baby Jesus, there was no room at the inn. What do you do when your government officials let you down? The people are suffering in Detroit because the administrators and the people who are in charge have no idea how to run an organization. Let's dig. Now, at the end of this video, we got bonus coverage of where Jarvis was pinged at that night and how the Amber Alert or the new ZIYAH Alert would have caught him way before this child became up missing. But let's begin with the main evidence we have that CPS is the main culprit in the disappearing of ZIYAH Harris.
Warnings that preceded Butt's alleged crimes.
Warnings that family members say were made to Children's Protective Services that could have saved ZIYAH's life. Here's what 7 investigator Ross Jones has uncovered.
You look at that face, and you do not see the horrors that she had gone through in her short life. The exploitation, the molestations, the sexual abuse, and the pregnancy that she was concealing.
Now, the voice you just heard was that of Kim Worthy, the prosecuting attorney for Wayne County. And she was not talking about Jarvis Butts, or she was not talking about Shannon Harris, or she wasn't talking about Annette Harris. She was talking about the people she believes is more responsible than them, and that is CPS, Child Protective Services. In the fact that they were notified by this family of inappropriate behavior within that household. And how did CPS come to the rescue, we're going to see. Here we have the aunt of Shannon Harris, one of the superheroes in this case with ZIYAH. Here's her interview with Channel 7 News.
So that at that point, I was like, this is too much. I'm calling CPS.
I tried not just once, but multiple times for them to take me serious in what I was saying.
Kiwana Morton and her cousin Jernell are both relatives of ZIYAH Harris. In February of 2022, Jernell says she learned of allegations of improper touching involving Butts and other small children. She says she was told about the claims while talking to her niece, Jarvis Butts' girlfriend, and that the alleged victims were ZIYAH Harris and 2 other children.
I was just like, oh my God, I was not crazy. This needs to be looked into.
She says she took the claim seriously in part because Butts was on the sex offender registry, having spent more than 8 years in prison for third-degree criminal sexual conduct. She didn't alert authorities at first because she believed her niece would notify police. But weeks later, Jernell did notify Child Protective Services. Her complaint came in on April 13, 2022. There was an incident at a birthday party, the complaint reads. One of the children that attended the party accused Jarvis of sexual abuse. ZIYAH, and name withheld, reported that Jarvis touched both of them inappropriately as well.
Now, glory be to God that someone stepped forward and gave this information to the proper authorities. Everyone on the screen that the Harris family never did report any of this to the Child Protective Service, but that's emphatically not true. They did report, and they gave clear details of what happened. Let's see how Child Protective Service did their job in protecting ZIYAH Harris.
Services. Her complaint came in on April 13, 2022. There was an incident at a birthday party, the complaint reads. One of the children that attended the party accused Jarvis of sexual abuse. ZIYAH, and name withheld, reported that Jarvis touched both of them inappropriately as well. Jarvis touched, name withheld, in her private area, and it hurt. Jernell made the complaint over the phone.
They basically told me if they needed me for anything else, they would reach out.
The next day, Jernell would receive a text from her niece, Butt's girlfriend, confirming that CPS had contacted her. CPS called me, the text reads. They called about the well-being of my kids. Then they called back to get Jarvis info.
Okay, CPS, you on your job. I see you called Shannon Harris, got her part of the story, and you got Jarvis Butt info. That's what's up, CPS. You on your job. You did everything you could, essentially save ZIYAH's life, or did you?
A spokeswoman would not tell 7 News Detroit if investigators ever questioned ZIYAH Harris after receiving the complaint. But we do know it wasn't the only complaint filed with CPS, naming Jarvis Butts.
And it was
what I just hear? That this wasn't the only complaint? This wasn't the first complaint about Jarvis Harris in the home of ZIYAH Harris or anyone else's home? They have other complaints on the floor? Wait a minute, let me rethink it. Let me see what's up with CPS.
you hear.
Kiwana Morton said she heard about the same allegations against Butts from a conversation with his girlfriend. 2 months after her cousins called to CPS, she would file her own complaint.
I told them that there's a problem and they need to be aware of it. I am 90% sure that there's sexual abuse going on within the home.
Did you specifically mention Jarvis by name?
Yes, absolutely.
Whoa, Kimo Sabi. What's going on? It took a second cousin to come forward before CPS actually acted? What is going on? They are not reporting kids not going to school or kids with dirty clothes or underfed. They are reporting kids that are being abused sexually by a predator. What are you waiting on, CPS? What's taking so long? Oh, I was about to give your praise, but wait, whoa, Kimo Sabe. But wait, we got new development. CPS on the way to the rescue. They actually did an interview with Jarvis Butts. Let's see what happened.
That complaint, conducting a face-to-face interview with Butts, who strongly denied the allegation. A forensic interview was conducted with the alleged victim, and no disclosures were made. CPS said the home was clean and free of observed safety concerns. The allegation was denied, assigned a low-risk level. These are 2 complaints of at least 5 filed with CPS since 2015 naming Jarvis Butts. They allege concerns about possible molestation, physical abuse, or living conditions. Some of the complaints are generic, and none would ultimately substantiate that Butts was improperly touching children. Just over a year after the last complaint on record, Butts would be charged with sexually assaulting and murdering ZIYAH Harris.
I'm brokenhearted because this could have been prevented.
Now, wait a MF minute. You mean to tell me that an interview was conducted and he denied it? The house was clean and well furnished and stocked with food, so there was no signs of molestation going on? Wait a minute, let me think about this. A house that's clean, well groomed, well furnished, and stocked with food clearly says a CPS officer mind that nothing nefarious is going on here. There's no sexual misconduct, and plus he vehemently denies the allegations. You want to tell me that he emphatically denies the allegations, and that's enough? Accompanied with a clean house, well-stocked food, and put that at a low risk? No, you can't do these kids this injustice. You are the Child Protective Service. Your job is to protect kids, not from allegations of uncleanliness or tardiness to school. Your allegation and your primary source should be those kids who are in danger physically or mentally within the household. That household can have golden floors with pearl lights. They can have diamond chandeliers. If sexual misconduct is being administered to one of them children that's in the household, CPS needs to take further action, especially against someone who already have a prior history of that. Is CPS mean to tell me they knew of his prior history and said that this is a low risk? A low risk? No, they ought to be taken to court. And every one of them CPS agents that handled the ZIYAH case need to be prosecuted today. Intel from a person that 4th and Alexander Ring, but you can see here it's full of condominiums now. Condominiums and nice homes. It used to be a place written with that's Alexander Ring, and that's 4th in Alexander Ring. Now, why would Jarvis Butts at 1 o'clock in the morning be down here in this rebuilt, revamped neighborhood? Nothing but nice homes. You're definitely not about to dump anything down here. Now, back in the days, it was drug-ridden, overwhelmed by prostitutes and drug addicts. But this is Midtown now. What would you be doing down here? These are freshly built houses. When I mean freshly built, as kids, we used to walk through here to go to the swimming pool. But now, what was you doing, Jarvis? What you doing in my old neighborhood? You was on straight. Now, according to Jarvis Butts' sister, she was at the shop until approximately 6:30 or 6:40 that night. If Neziah's grandmother and Shannon would have put the Amber Alert out for this young child at that time, everyone phone within, I think, a 25 to 35 mile radius would begin to notify them that there is an Amber Alert. A picture of the young girl, a description of the young girl will come up, and maybe Jarvis' sister would have seen that alert and said, hey, here's the little girl right here. So who's actually responsible for this girl's disappearing? It's such a mystery. All we know is Jarvis is the one who had her in his hands that night. But who could have saved her, who was responsible, is still up in the air. I think if that Amber Alert would have went out that day, that a lot of people who came in contact with Neziah outside of Jarvis and Cordell would have said, hey, young girl, you on the Amber Alert, get home. I don't know, CPS, Shannon, Annette, a lot of people got a lot of answering to do. Neziah Harris' bill should cover all these people and have them all get the punishment they deserve. Now, projects and Caseríos take you on scene to locations, bring you fresh information that's not available to everyone. If you want to support this channel, please like, subscribe, share, and if all possible, join the channel. Become a member. Get exclusive stuff that's not available to the public. And once again, Projects and Caserío is here and to the very end of this case and all other cases that I'm covering. God bless you. Have a nice night.